Welcome to the EPG Pathashala program sponsored by UGC, and this is the lecture series in computer science course, and this paper is on compiler design. This module will discuss about the parsing action of the top down parser, which is the LL1 parser, and this will also introduce the error recovery actions that is possible with the top down parser, and also it will discuss about the shift reduce parser, which is a bottom up parser. Now, this module, the learning objectives of this module are to learn to construct the LL1 parsing table, to parse a given string using this parsing table. That is, LL1 parsing table has to be constructed based upon the already computed values of first and follow for all your non-terminals. And then based upon this parsing table, given any input string, we will use this table for parsing. This module also discusses about the ways of handling errors in LL1 parsers, and it is also going to talk about how to learn how to perform the shift reduce action of a bottom up parser. The keywords LL1 parser, parsing table, error recovery and shift reduce parsers. Now, for a predictive parsing table, your input is going to be first and follow functions along with the productions which are actually removed of left recursion as well as the left factored grammar is what is given as input. Now, for the construction of the table, you will assign a row for each of the non-terminals and there will be a column for each of the terminal symbol. So, it is going to be row versus column, okay, and row will be your non-terminal versus terminal, and at the entry of the non-terminal versus the symbol, you have to match the production that matches the non-terminal comma symbol, where the symbol belongs to the first of the non-terminal. That is, for any symbol belonging to the first of a non-terminal at the intersection of the non-terminal and the first of its non-terminal, you will add the production that matches this particular first. And supposing the first of the non-terminal has an epsilon value, which is a typical scenario because a particular non-terminal could produce epsilon, and therefore epsilon will become part of the first of a non-terminal. In that case, at the intersection of the non-terminal versus A, what is A? A is available in the follow of the non-terminal. You add the production, non-terminal produces epsilon. So, two rules for constructing the predictive parsing table, and this is an example which we had in the previous module, where we looked at the if then grammar, and then the if then grammar had the first of S as A comma I and S dash had a first as E and epsilon, and the first of C is actually B. Okay. So, at the intersection of S comma A and S comma I, you add these two productions because the first of S will have the component A based upon this production, and the first of S has the component I based upon this production. So, we added that, and first of C is actually B, that is E is actually expression and condition are exactly same. So, E produces B basically gets here, and at the intersection of S dash and E, you add S dash produces ES. Now, S dash first has also got an epsilon value. So, we go to the resort to the follow of S dash. Follow of S dash consists of E comma dollar. Therefore, for at the intersection of S dash and E and S dash and dollar, we add the productions S dash produces epsilon and S dash produces epsilon. So, this is a problem with this grammar, that is there are multiple entries in the parsing table. Okay, we will come back to that in the error recovery module. This is the parsing table corresponding to your expression grammar, where you had 5 non-terminals E, E dash, T dash and F, and the first of E, first of T and first of F will consist of ID and open parenthesis. So, at the intersection of these you add the corresponding productions. Now, the non-terminal E has got only one production, therefore, we added that, whereas the non-terminal F has got multiple productions. So, those multiple productions has actually contributed to the multiple symbols available in the first. So, therefore, we added at the intersection of F comma ID, we added F produces ID, and at the intersection of F comma open parenthesis, we had the production F produce open parenthesis E close parenthesis, and the remaining also was done. Since E dash has a first component as epsilon, at the intersection of the follow of E dash okay, which is nothing but of close parenthesis and dollar, we added the production, E dash produces epsilon, and at the intersection of T dash and plus T dash and close parenthesis and T dash and dollar, we added the production, T dash produces epsilon. Now this parsing table, as you could see, does not have multiple entries for every intersection, but some entries are actually very, this table is sparse, the meaning that the some entries does not have any value. What does it actually imply? It implies that they cannot be the first component of a string if your non-terminal starts with E. For example, if your non-terminal starts with E, the first component obviously cannot be a plus, that is what it basically indicates. Okay. Now, how do I parse? So, in the input string, I have my input string now and I have basically the parsing table. So, my algorithm should look at the input string and then will verify what is happening in the parsing table, and it uses a stack. It uses a stack for its processing. Based upon that, it will take an action and then go to the next option. Since we are using a stack, the possible options are push, pop. Okay. So, what you do is initially you push the elements dollar onto the stack and you push the start symbol S onto the stack. Okay. Now, here the algorithm will refer to this particular stack as well as it will refer to the input symbol for its action. Based upon what it should do, what it should push, it basically refers to the parsing table. So, the three it has got three inputs, one is the parsing table, other one is the stack, other one is the input. So, these three are fed to the algorithm. The algorithm looks at these three components and based upon that it chooses a corresponding action. Now, to start with, dollar is a delimiter. This dollar is actually appended at the end of every input string. Okay. So, dollar is the input string gets modified with the dollar component with the symbol dollar at the end, and to start with you push this dollar as well as the start symbol onto the stack. Then you call this A as a look ahead symbol. Now, if you repeat this algorithm basically, if x is a terminal or x is equal to dollar, then you do a match. That is, if the top of this x is basically the symbol on the input, so x is a symbol on the input, and supposing you have a dollar, I mean if the same symbol is available on the stack, you basically do a pop. That is, you match, you move to the next token ahead and you say A is equal to look ahead, meaning that this symbol says look at the input symbol, input string and look at the stack. If both are terminals, you basically pop the stack and you move one position to the right on the input symbol. On the other hand, if x comma A, okay, that is if the stack symbol is x and supposing say if your input symbol is A, okay, that is if x is a non-terminal and A is going to be your input symbol, in that case you go to the table entry, okay, you go to the table entry and check whether what production matches this combination of x comma A. X is a non-terminal which is on the stack and A is going to be a input symbol. So, if x comma A, x is a non-terminal, A is a terminal, if that is in that case what you do is you go to the parsing table. So, the parsing table will have basically productions at a particular combination of non-terminals and terminals. In that case what you do is you check what production it basically has. You pop x from the stack and you push y1 to yk onto the stack. You pop x and push the symbols y1 to yk on the stack. Remember that the input production should be read from left to right, and that is available in the stack as from top to bottom. So, the topmost symbol should be y1 and the bottommost symbol should be yk. So, when you read as input from left to right, the same thing is available in the stack from top to bottom. So, y1 will be on the stack as the first symbol, which means you have to start pushing from the right symbol onto the stack. Okay. On the other hand, if x is going to be dollar, the symbol dollar, as well as if x is the input is also containing a dollar, because we are anyway appending the input string with a dollar. So, if input also has a dollar and supposing the stack also has a dollar, then you say that it is a successful parse. If any of these things do not match, you call that as an error routine. So, you check for the input is a terminal, the input string contains a terminal, the stack also contains a terminal. If that is the case, you pop the stack and move ahead in the input pointer. On the other hand, if both are dollar, you say it is a successful parse. Okay. On the third point, if input is going to be a character, input is obviously a terminal. If the stack contains a non-terminal, then in that case you kind of do a parsing table lookup on the non-terminal and the input terminal combination. Whatever production is available, you pop the non-terminal from the stack and you push the RHS of the production into the stack. You have to ensure that the production which is read from left to right is available from top to bottom in the stack. Okay. If anything else is, if I am not able to match a production entry in the parsing table, then I know that it is going to be a error. So, we kind of have to call the corresponding error recovery routine. Let us take this example. So, initially the dollar is loaded onto the stack as well as the start symbol. For the expression grammar, the start symbol happens to be capital E, which is on the stack, and I am also putting the dollar at the end of my input string. My input string is here ID plus ID star ID. You can take any input. We are looking at the expression grammar here. So, therefore, this is a valid string of the grammar. Now, what I do? I have to check the stack here A, E, and the input string happens to be containing the first symbol as ID. So, I am checking the action E comma ID on the stack. So, E comma ID means what? I have to look for the production in the parsing table. E comma ID basically says production E produces T E dash. So, what will I do? I have to basically look for this, you have to pop this E and push T E dash onto the stack. When I am pushing T E dash onto the stack, T should appear in the top. Okay, this is that stack. So, the stack top will be on, the symbol on the right is going to be my top. So, T E dash. So, I am pushing YK. YK happens to be E dash, which I have pushed now. Then I will push T. So, T E dash is pushed onto the stack. Next, if I am pushing, the input pointer does not advance. Input pointer stays as it is. Only in the event of a pop, the input pointer advances to the next symbol. So, T comma ID. Okay. Again, I look at the table entry T comma ID. I see the production T produces FT dash. So, again I pop T and I push FT dash onto the stack. When I push FT dash onto the stack, F should be on the topmost symbol. Now, I do F comma ID, the next iteration. So, F comma ID, what do I do? Again, I have to look at the table entry. Table says F produces ID. So, I pop F and I push ID onto the stack. Now, ID is on the stack and ID is in the input string. Therefore, ID comma ID, it is a terminal comma terminal match. So, I pop the stack. In that case, I move my input symbol by one position to the right. So, here I have popped the stack, which is ID is removed, and once I moved the input position to plus, this ID no longer exists. I do not know what is happening with ID. Now, then T dash comma plus. So, I do what? I have to put plus T E dash onto the stack by popping T dash from the stack. So, I pop the LHS non-terminal and I push the RHS production onto the stack. So, plus T E dash comes here. This is plus ID star ID dollar. So, I do a pop, then next iteration plus comma plus, it is an input symbol match. Okay. So, I basically pop the stack and move my input pointer. T comma ID, again I have to push FT dash onto the stack. F comma ID. So, I have to push now ID onto the stack by popping F from the stack, and then ID comma ID. So, T dash comma star, I have to push star F T dash. So, at this particular point F comma ID, same thing happens here. ID comma ID, I basically do a pop here, and then T dash comma dollar. T dash comma dollar is replacing T dash with epsilon, right. So, again I am replacing with epsilon means epsilon is a string of length 0, therefore, I simply have to pop T dash and push epsilon. Epsilon pushing is not, the stack content does not change. E dash, again same thing, replace with epsilon, again E dash replace with epsilon, dollar comma dollar, it is going to be an accept action. So, when the input string has a dollar and if the stack entry also has a dollar, which means that the situation is going to be an accept action. Now, supposing if any of the input is going to be invalid, okay, if I have plus ID star ID, supposing if my table entry happens to be plus ID, if my first string happens to be plus ID star ID, then plus comma E, there is no match at all, right, E comma plus, there is no match at all. So, in that case we say it is going to be an error. Now, if the table entry does not have anything, we call that as an error basically. Okay. So, here in that case, how will the parser proceed with the compilation process? So, the error recovery in LL1 parser it can be either in two modes. One is the panic mode, other one is the phrase level recovery mode. The panic mode is the simplest of all, which is to discard an input until a token in a set of designated synchronizing tokens is basically found. That is, if it is not able to find a table entry match, for example, in our example, E comma plus I do not see a table entry. So, what I do is I will keep on deleting the elements till I am able to see a match, okay, which will be having a table entry in my parsing table. The example I gave, plus ID star ID. If I give a plus ID star ID as example, when I delete plus, okay, obviously E comma ID there is going to be a matching pair available in the table. So, that is a panic mode, mode of error recovery. It simply recovers, it is not going to correct your errors. Okay. The next one is called as the phrase level recovery, where it could perform a local correction on the input to repair the error. Okay. Now, the repair can basically happen by actually adding something like this, adding a error production, which means that the grammar is augmented with productions for erroneous constructs. Okay. You know that if I encounter this production, that implies that then I have a error problem there. Okay. So, for error scenarios, you add new productions and that is going to be available in the table as well, which is going to get you to the next level of error recovery. Or I can also adopt a global way of error correction. That is, you choose a minimal sequence of changes to obtain a global least cost error correction. Okay. Again, it is these error recovery is done only with the idea that you can go to the next phase of the compiler. Okay. It is not going to correct your error and then make your code free of errors. It is simply for the parser to go to the next phase is what this basically does. Other than that, this does not have any role at all. It simply recovers so that the compilation process does not halt. So, you can either keep on discarding the input characters till a valid match is available in the parsing table, or it can go for a local correction, okay, and then try to repair. That local correction could basically be happening either in terms of augmenting the grammar itself with the production of erroneous constructs, or you can have a global correction where you can choose a minimal sequence of changes that is possible to obtain a global least cost error correction. Okay. So, here in our example error recovery panic mode, you add synchronizing actions to undefined entries based on follow. Okay. And then in the phrase mode, change the input stream by inserting plus star or open parenthesis or close parenthesis. For example, if I have ID, okay, something like this, then that could be changed to either ID star ID or ID plus ID. Okay. This is a phrase mode, that's just doing a local correction basically. Okay. Now, in panic mode, what do? I look at the follow of all the non-terminals. Now, earlier follow was resorted to only when your first of the non-terminal has an epsilon value. Now, here this is the panic mode of error recovery uses the follow to recover from errors by adding a synchronizing action to be followed on the undefined entries. Now, for example, here error productions will take care of add productions that can take care of incorrect input combinations is also possible. Okay. Now, this is what I say, the follow of E consists of close parenthesis and dollar. So, at this, but if I encounter E comma close parenthesis, I know that this is going to be an error by looking at this sync table. So, what I do, I have to start erasing some symbols, okay, and then get to a correct position mode. Similarly, if I have T comma plus, T comma close parenthesis and T comma dollar, these symbols are the follow of T. So, at these symbols, at these intersections also, we are calling the synchronizing action. The synchronizing action will basically be doing what? Simply deleting some characters so that it can go to a possible correct scenario of parsing action. Okay. So, this is what it does basically, and the characteristics of LL1 grammar. Now, in the example of the if then grammar, we had multiple entries in the parse table. Okay, we had multiple entries in the parse table, and that is basically it does not know if it encounters this combination, it does not know whether I should replace it with one production or should I replace it with the other production. Okay. So that is one characteristic of a, it means that that grammar cannot be parsed using LL1 parser. Okay, if you could understand that, that grammar cannot be parsed using LL1 parser. Now the characteristics of a grammar which can be parsed using LL1 parser is, for each collection of productions, A produces alpha 1 to alpha n, for any non-terminal A, you have to look at the following two conditions. You have 2A and 2B of course. The first of alpha I and first of intersection first of alpha j is equal to null. That is, there is no commonality between this first of alpha I and alpha 2, alpha 1 and alpha 2. So first of alpha 1 and first of alpha 2 should not have anything in common. That is the first condition. And the second condition is, if alpha I derives epsilon, then alpha j should also derive epsilon for all I not equal to j. Okay. And first of alpha j intersection follow of A should be equal to null for all I not equal to j. So these three rules are basically applicable for LL1 parser to parse a particular grammar. More generically, we can say that if the parsing table has got multiple entries, then that grammar cannot be parsed using LL1 parser. Secondly, supposing if a grammar is going to be an ambiguous grammar, then your LL1 parser cannot be used to parse a particular grammar. So ambiguous, if then grammar, we already know it is an ambiguous grammar because it will have multiple derivation trees. So therefore, this grammar cannot be parsed using LL1 parser. Now, LL1 parser is a top down parser where the first L denotes input is scanned from left to right, the second L indicates it is a leftmost derivation, and the 1 indicates how many input symbols am I looking at any particular point of time. The next, so this is a top down parser. Now we already know that there is a problem with top down parser in the sense that there is a concept called as backtracking. So because of that, we went to the LL1 parser, which is a non-recursive descent parser, and that is one variation. But we know that not a big class of grammar can be parsed using LL1 parser. So therefore we go for bottom up parser. In bottom up parsers, typically you have LR parsers, and LR parsers you have three variations: simple LR, canonical LR and look ahead LR. Other special parsers are bottom up parsers are shift reduce parsers and operator precedence parsers. Okay. Now bottom up parsers build a derivation tree by working from the input back towards the start symbol. That is, it builds the reverse rightmost derivation, builds parse trees from leaves to root. Now in this example, there is a concept called as handle, which is very important in the context of bottom up parsers. Since bottom up parsers match the RHS of a production with the LHS, okay, we define this handle concept. A handle is formally defined as a substring of a grammar which is in right sentential form that matches a right hand side of a production. Okay. It is a substring of grammar symbols in right sentential form that matches the right hand side of a production. So not all RHS is going to be a handle, but for a particular string, okay, for an input string, if the right sentential form matches with the RHS of a production, that is called as a handle. Now this handle is used for reducing a given production RHS to its corresponding LHS in the process of deriving a string from, in the process of getting the start symbol from the string actually. Okay. To be very formal, this is one more definition. A handle's reduction onto the non-terminal on the LHS represents a one-step closeness, okay, in checking whether the string belongs to it or not. This substring can be treated upon as a handle. So let us take this as handle. Example, expression grammar. The handles are ID, E star E, parenthesis, E close parenthesis. This is a grammar which is going to be ambiguous grammar. E produces E plus E, E star E, etc. Now, the shift reduce parsers basically has 4 actions. First one is shift, next one is reduce, okay, and then the third one is accept, and the fourth one is error. So shift, reduce, accept and error. So, what will it shift, what is it trying to reduce and how is it going to accept, etc. Error is anything which is not possible is going to be called as, is considered as an error. Now, the shift is you normally shift an input symbol onto the stack, and reduce basically says you will reduce the string or to reduce the handle to the LHS of a particular production. And accept means if the input is over and the stack is also going to be empty, we say that it's going to be a successful parsing. If any other combination is there, then we go in for what is called as an error. Let us look at this grammar. E produces E plus E, star E produces ID. Okay, this is an expression grammar which is an ambiguous expression grammar. Now, this is what the shift reduce parser basically does. The stack has a dollar to start with. The input, any input you can consider. So, dollar and ID, that is if it is possible to shift, shift. Check whether can you reduce it with the production. If you could reduce, reduce, else keep on shifting. That is a simple logic. Okay, this is a simple shift reduce parser. So, ID, so I am basically shifting. Now, once I shift it, I am underlining this with calling it as a handle. Okay. So, you can reduce it by rule 4, that is rule 4 is E produces ID. So, pop ID and push E. Then the next will be to shift. So, I will shift plus. The next one to shift ID. So, I shift ID also. Now, I can reduce. Okay. I reduce it by again rule 4 calling it as E plus E. Now, at this point also I will basically reduce it further to E. Okay. And then E comma star I will shift. Star comma ID I will shift. So, then E star shift ID, then now ID I will reduce E star E and E. This is the sequence of action for a shift, simple shift reduce parser, that is if you could shift, shift, if it is okay to reduce, try reducing it. Now, the problem here is if you look at this particular situation, will I have to reduce this E plus E to E or can I continue shifting? So, this is called as a shift reduce conflict, that is at one particular point of time you may actually could shift as well as reduce. So, that case what will I do? So, that is a shift reduce conflict which is the actual typical characteristic of a shift reduce parser. Acceptance will be the stack has the start symbol and the input is over, we call the parser as an accepting state. So, the conflicts shift reduce conflict and reduce reduce conflict, that is some grammars will have, will I reduce it by production 1 or will I reduce it by production 2, that is also a possible conflict. Those are because of the ambiguity in the grammar, okay, and the limitations of this simple shift bottom up parser. Now, this will be overcome by other parsers, okay, which is also a bottom up parser, which will be done in the next module. So, to summarize today on this module, we have basically done LL1 parsers parsing action. We have also discussed the error recovery strategies adopted by LL1 parser. We have also looked at the simple shift reduce parser, and with that we will conclude this module. Thank you.